Scotty, beam us up fast.
You thought that was just science fiction. Well, now it's possible in real life. Hi, everyone, I'm Giselle Fernandez, and you think it's me, and it is, but as a hologram, I'm actually over here. Hi, I am in the world's first self-contained single-passenger holoportation machine, which can beam me anywhere, anytime, any time zone in the world without ever leaving my own backyard. It's the future, and the future is now. It was holographic technology that brought Tupac to Coachella. Michael Jackson to Vegas, Whitney back to the stage. But it was hologram entrepreneur David Nussbaum who said holograms shouldn't just be used to resurrect the dead. They should be used to transport the living. And that's exactly what he's doing out of his Van Nuys warehouse. A wildly creative space that's all about transporting humans, the busiest and the bold, anywhere they want to go. The motto, if you can't be there, beam there.
Is this the weirdest thing that has happened to you today?
Yeah, I think so.
Even Captain Kirk in hologram beams for real anywhere in the world.
Hello, William Shatner. Say hi to Giselle Fernandez.
Well, hello there, Giselle Fernandez. It's wonderful to say a warm greeting to you.
Can you speak to me about this wonderful opportunity you have with Proto?
It opens avenues to explore new worlds and experiences without the limitations of time or distance. Very much in line with the spirit of Star Trek. Transcending boundaries strike a chord deeply with me. They embody hope and potential for our future.
Would you speak to me in Spanish?
Por supuesto. Frodo es un personaje fascinante. Lo que me encanta de él es su valentía y determinación.
Howie Mandel, another huge Proto champion and investor.
Whoa, you're good.
I saw you.
You guys should be on America's Got Talent.
He too can beam anywhere, anytime, in any language.
Proto 的全息技术不仅仅是视觉上的享受。
Technology, David says, is not just for the famous. He ships life-size Proto devices across the globe for retail, art auctions, education, and even healthcare. What Nussbaum calls a modern-day time machine, transporting users into a whole new universe of possibilities. The world leader in hologram communication, David Nussbaum. He is today's LA Story.
She's the one. Rush hour and so much fun. Fashion unlocked and looking so sweet. LA Stories on the beat.
Wow. Wow. I'm glad I got to see the real thing, and then I can have it beamed to me anytime.
This is Sonny and the Black Pack. Howie's house band.
Well, this is a fun place to work.
I'm a New Yorker. Coming into a boring office was never part of the plan, so having this type of level of energy really gets us motivated, gets us creative.
And what do you think of all this hologram stuff?
This is a playground, and what Dave has done is incredible. We love Proto. We love it so much. It's the most incredible technology.
So you can travel around the world sharing your music live without ever being there.
That is the idea, and that is the plan. That's exactly what we're going to do.
Catch Giselle led by heart every Monday at 9 p.m. sharp.
Wow. Yeah, this place is wild.
It's lovely, and it's inspiring.
Yeah.
All right, let's do our interview.
Okay.
Thank you for inviting us into your Proto world. It's so magical.
Yeah, thank you. It's an honor to be on your show. This is, a very exciting moment for Proto.
You have this technology, revolutionary, so futuristic, and yet you make it right now, and you've humanized it.
I had an idea. Mine was on the back of a cocktail napkin. I had this vision for what I wanted this company to be, and I'm not an engineer. So I pulled in some engineer friends. I'm not a producer, so I begged some of my production pals. It's really an obsession. I spent every penny I had. Really relied on people because doing this by myself, it was never going to happen. It was supporters and believers. Everybody who works at Proto, they're the ones who have made this company successful.
Yeah, but you're Willy Wonka. You're like the magic man, right?
I got lucky that I had a believer, my first investor, and he gave me a shoebox full of $100 bills. He says, make your dream happen.
That is crazy, because your original dream was to be a broadcaster.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna call the Mets play-by-play, and then I said, okay, it's not play-by-play, I wanna be a talker.
You started your own podcast and started interviewing people.
I was one of the first, like, maybe 1,000 or 2 podcasters on the Apple platform.
Welcome back to another episode of Decently Funny with Nuzzy and Guy. It's been a while.
But not just working and having this dream to be a broadcaster, you started buying airtime because you had that entrepreneurial spirit too.
I created a bit of a syndication network.
And you met a bunch of people, but you also were introduced to a guy who I understand had access to these patents of hologram technology.
Who just won some patents in an auction. And those patents were later used to famously put Tupac on stage at Coachella. Michael Jackson at the Billboard Awards, Whitney Houston went on tour, Ronald Reagan, if you go to his Simi Valley Presidential Library.
Right there in hologram.
The first thing you do, you see Reagan behind the Resolute desk.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
But how did you know, I'm gonna make this leap, that this is the technology that is like my future?
I never really loved digitally resurrecting late legends to posthumously perform. I'm obsessed with broadcasting. I'm obsessed with connecting with people, communications. So I figured, instead of bringing back the dead, what if I used holograms to connect the living? And so that's when I started this company.
And getting there, you said it was brutal, that making the original prototypes to like really see what we're seeing today. How big a struggle just to even get here?
Every prototype I made was worse than the one before it. It was terrible. I was like, I am going in the wrong direction. But then the last one looked just good enough that I was like, okay, this actually looks like the guy is here. And so that box, I schlepped through every convention, every trade show. I was a crazy person with a giant box that, you know, I said, hey, we're gonna beam people places. They're like, okay, crazy person. And I was featured on the BBC, and then I looked at my LinkedIn, which is Facebook business, right? I looked at my LinkedIn, I had thousands of requests, and I said, now these are business requests. How do we get one of these? I'd like to beam somebody somewhere, you know, what can I do with this? I'd like to beam a doctor into a hospital. I'd like to beam a teacher into a school. I'd like to do my presentations this way. I've got a keynote speech in South Africa next week, but I can't go. How can I use this technology? So I was flooded.
And you got that Captain Kirk call on the unknown number. I mean, come on. What did that mean to you?
Well, the guy's an icon.
What did he say the first time?
He said, how dare you have a holoportation company and not use me? I'm the guy who made beaming people places famous. And so we did. The first thing that we did was we beamed him from Los Angeles to a stage in front of about 1,000 marketing and advertising executives in Sydney, Australia, like 9,000 miles away. Beamed him there, he gave a keynote. He pulled people out of the audience. He was answering questions. He could see them. He could hear them. The moderator who was on stage said, this is actually better than if you were actually here. Like, you're a hologram. And what was wild to me was afterwards he said, stop calling yourself a hologram. You're a time machine. You just saved me 2 weeks of travel. I beamed in, I did my speech, I beamed home, having breakfast with my wife the same day I did a presentation in Sydney, Australia.
You really feel like you're talking to the person. What is the difference between this and teleconferencing or even Facebook Live?
If we were doing a Facebook Live or a teleconference, I wouldn't believe for a second that we're actually in the room with each other. What Proto does is, it's not a Zoom replacement, it's actually a being there in person replacement.
Wow. Howie Mandel, this is his building. He reached out to you as well, and what did he say?
How can we work together? He said, I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm a world famous germaphobe. I've got OCD, and I'm a big proponent of mental health awareness, and I want to go everywhere without going anywhere. And what you've done, this technology allows me to be in anywhere I want to go without leaving my house. He invested in the company, but he's been the most amazing.
Well, there have been many more stars to follow, Howie and Captain Kirk, and as well as 120 major corporations, Fortune 500 companies, CEOs. If you had to sum up why this works and why this is the future and why it's needed right now, what's the vision?
The feeling of real presence. So like if you've got a room full of people and you can't be there, you can beam there.
Man, that's just amazing to me.
All right, that's a great place to take a break because when we come back, we're going to dive into how the technology actually works and its many applications when LA Stories comes right back. Welcome back to LA Stories, everyone. We're here with the mastermind behind Proto hologram technology, David Nussbaum. David, this is your Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah, David Nussbaum and the Hologram Factory. Yeah, this is called Protopia.
So you have stars, you have sports athletes, you have people, musicians, I mean, everybody, CEOs.
Yes, Paris Hilton is great. She wants to beam everywhere. She could be in Japan doing a presentation somewhere, but then I could beam her to Sydney, Australia, and then she can essentially multiply herself. And she is a DJ. She can now play, 10 clubs at the same time.
Wow, this is so futuristic, but it's so right now.
Right. The iPhone was futuristic. The computer was futuristic. And now most people just can't live a day without those very futuristic devices that are just very normal.
Where do you see this going?
This is going from boardrooms into living rooms. You can beam your teachers in for your children. You could beam your doctors in.
Can you show me your range of motion in your right shoulder?
Sure. This takes telemedicine to a whole new level because the doctor can be right there and you're already scheduling holographic doctor appointments, I understand.
Yeah, some people have started to say the doc's in the box. And so now, because we're HIPAA compliant, doctors and patients are having face-to-face consultations even though they're hundreds or thousands of miles away.
It was exactly like an in-person visit.
It's your gaming, it's your computing. I mean, it is everything. Everything that you're currently using, your smartphones, your Alexas, your Zooms, all of that stuff built right into a holographic portal that really helps you enhance your life, makes business easier. Whoever needs to be somewhere can now be there without leaving their home. Maybe campaigning to become president of the United States. While you're on your campaign trail, beam into 100 other locations, really amplify your message.
I mean, I can see this in multi-dimensions. I can say, all right, click the QR code and buy it.
Well, there's a QR code here. But
wow, so this could take QVC on steroids.
We're in about 50 Simon malls right now, and they're replacing a lot of those flat 2D screens with Proto technology. And we're working with an amazing company on the Hologram Media Network, which really captures the attention.
There's a hologram media network?
There is now a hologram media network. Yes, it's so much more realistic than looking at your phone or your computer.
I know that you were working with Christie's, auctioning off millions of dollars worth of art without ever having to transport the art to the places that you're beaming to, is that right?
Christie's, they beam their artwork and their memorabilia from the safety and security of their own individual showrooms into all Christie's locations. And same thing, Walker Hayes, he was on a book tour and unable to perform on stage live at the Vine Music Festival up in Napa Valley. So we beamed him there. He performed several songs. We've started to see a lot of authors love the idea of dropping in their book into their AI avatar, and then the avatar now has all of the information in that book, reads the book, can go on a Barnes & Noble tour, do a book tour, and then answer any question about any single word or phrase or chapter or anything in the book. It's absolutely next level. It's advanced and it's incredibly wonderful.
The myriad of possibilities of this technology are endless.
I can see a world where we're used in courtrooms. I believe that there's a future where you could beam in witness testimony, perhaps of a young victim of an assault who may not want to face her or his alleged attacker, the intimidation alone or the fear. Now you could beam that person in and they still have you are still beamed in. It is you, it is your proto proxy. It is your holographic twin. And it looks like you, it sounds like you, it moves like you.
So tell me how it works. What I first saw was the big 7-foot Proto Epic. That's your major pop-up.
I needed it to be larger than average person. I want Giselle Fernandez, I also want a basketball player. You don't need a room full of hologram cameras and projectors. I can beam anybody anywhere, anytime, using any 4K camera. They could even use their iPhone. Technology that you already have in your life. We now have the Proto Luma, and we have the tabletop, the Proto M.
Incredible.
They're so easy. Now we have our own operating system. Now we have our own AI tools. Now we have open APIs, which mean that if you could build a website, you can actually customize what your Proto devices do.
Do I need one in both locations?
No, you only need one in the location that you are being presented in.
All I need is an iPhone.
iPhone on a tripod, yeah.
That's crazy. So it's $29,000 for the big one or $2,500 a month to rent. But you say you want to make this much more affordable for the everyday user, like we use our iPhones today. Is that coming?
That's the plan. And it's not like the distant future. In a perfect scenario, a unit under $1,000. The devices are getting more sophisticated, they do more things. Our software updates every 6 weeks, like your Tesla, like your iPhone. So whether you have a unit from 3 years ago or 3 years from now,
You can update it.
It updates every 6 weeks. We have a Proto M.
That I could put on my desktop.
Yeah, it's great. This is like a little Honey, I Shrunk the Hologram. This will be the future of in-home shopping, entertainment, education, information. It's going to be the way people not only communicate, but it's the way that they engage and conduct their business. I think proto technology in the home is going to be a major game changer.
Wow, that's so interesting. And what really is fascinating to me is the collaboration with AI. I had a conversation with Captain Kirk, William Shatner, and he can answer me any question I ask him in real time.
I understand you speak Japanese.
I have a basic understanding of Japanese. It's a language filled with beauty and nuance.
So the avatar is very simple to make. He stood in front of one of our 4K cameras, it could be an iPhone, for 2 minutes, just so the avatar technology can get his cadence, his very famous cadence, his speech pattern, the way he moves, the way he talks, the way he looks.
So you can do any language, real time, not like it's dubbed.
It's every language. It's very accurate, and it's got the personality of the person if you wish it to have that personality.
Lleva una carga monumental. Representa la lucha del bien contra el mal.
When I think of your very human ascent and your entrepreneurial courage to get here, what surprises you most about where you were then and where you are now?
The most surprising thing is I don't feel like I'm going to work every day.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I want to talk about that passion and the emotion and the humanization of this hyper-futuristic technology when LA Stories comes. Right back. Welcome back to LA Stories, everyone. We're here with the mastermind, the magical David Nussbaum and his proto technology. So fascinated by the bells and whistles and all the gizmos of it all. But I'm also intrigued by how you humanize it. Like you captured your parents and they're in your big epic, proto epic, and they're dancing. Tell me about the power of that.
Thank you. Yeah, I miss them. They're here, but they live in New Jersey. They're both in their 80s, and I never see them. And I think about that all the time. I wanted my children who live in Los Angeles and my parents to be able to beam into each other's lives. Nobody gets away with staying alive forever. And so what I'm using Proto for is to capture my parents, to capture my loved ones, to capture my children. Proto freezes them in that moment. And so I have my parents dancing, but I also have them kind of telling us their, like when Harry met Sally story.
When Joyce walked through the door,
Exactly.
I fell in love with her immediately.
You spoke about having to make a big presentation and your wife was pregnant with your third child and she couldn't be there, but she beamed in?
Yeah, it was a big surprise. I was in New York, I was doing a big presentation, and then over my shoulder, Charla and Lucy and Francis beamed in, and she was 9 months pregnant, and I'm an emotional person. I got emotional. It felt like she was there for a minute.
So where's the company now and what's next?
We're raising money, always raising money. Welcome to being an entrepreneur. We've got some great investors. Tim Draper is an investor. I mean, he was a founding investor in SpaceX and Tesla. And so we've got Mike Walsh, who was an early Uber guy, and Doug Rates is great because he manages the money for hundreds of the world's most famous athletes. Al Leiter from the New York Mets, which is really great. I'm now meeting the Mets.
Full circle.
Yeah, full circle. But now we have a Series B raising money, and it would be great to raise that money quickly so I could take a nap. I'd like to go to sleep now.
Well, you deserve the rest, but I have a feeling that you're going to be an ever-ready bunny for a long while here. Thank you for inviting us into your Proto world. It is so futuristic and it is so right now. I feel like I'm just a little bit more on the pulse of where we're going in this crazy world. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Congratulations, really amazing. And thank you for watching another edition of LA Stories. I'm Giselle Fernandez. See you next time, either me or my hologram. Thank you. Thank you for watching our YouTube channel. For more stories in your communities, click the subscribe button right here. You can also download our app or watch us on TV for the latest information, balanced coverage, weather updates every 10 minutes, and more. We'll see you then.